Here in the chat and reminding me not to keep my microphone double muted. So today we will be showcasing to you Starpoint Gemini Warlords. Before I do that, however, I want to do a quick shout out to Inmates, a psychological horror game that we just released on Steam. So if you're into that type of game, be sure to check that out as well. Of course, you're here today for the Cycle of Warfare DLC, which we'll be showcasing you and which we'll be releasing imminently. So if you have any questions or comments, and I was actually just saying if you have any comments regarding the sound or balance or whichever, please let me know. So thanks for providing that. And of course, if you have any problems with the game or questions, be sure to drop it here. I might be able to answer it. Otherwise, I will refer you to the Steam forums where there is a very active and helpful community, as most of you will already know. So thank you all for joining us, and let's start our quick overview of the DLC. So the DLC brings quite a lot. Let's have a quick look at what the DLC exactly brings. So one of the first things we will notice was if we activated the DLC when we start a new game is a new interface right here. And here we can see some of the new modes. So the DLC brings a number of new gameplay modes, as well as 5 different factions, if I'm counting correctly. One of them being the actual aliens that haven't been playable in a Starpoint Gemini game ever. So that's a pretty big introduction. They have their very own ship line, their very own architecture, and their very own gameplay mode. They play very differently according to different rules than some of the others. So if we look at Conquest mode, we see this new Conquest mode started, and the start with the Solari Concorde is a little bit similar to alright, glad to hear that about the audio, guys. Sorry about that. So the Solari Concorde is pretty similar to what you might have already played in like the campaign or free roam campaign. The difference being that you can tweak it a little bit better now, so you can set the starting advantage, which is a nice little thing to tweak. And if you do that, that basically sets several factors. It sets the player level, like what level do you start at, what type of ship class do you start with, how many credits you start with, or gas and materials. But also you can see the size of the territory, of your starting territory, actually changing depending on the type you set. I'm sorry guys, extraterrestrials instead of aliens. I'm terribly sorry. Other than human beings, whichever. All right, so we got the Solari Concorde. That's the starting faction. You can give yourself a pretty, standard start, but a pretty difficult one. But also now, so for the first time, you got the outer lands you can play, and you have the same slider to play with. So there's some customization there. You got and the outer lands are like outlaw groups that are finally united into a new faction. And your goal here is to assimilate the remaining outlaws and spread your influence. In addition, we have the Corkira, and they just came out of a civil war. They're finally unified, and they are ready to rain down democracy until everyone agrees to fly under their banner. That's the best way to spread democracy. That's a very interesting one. And again, we can set the slider, so we can start from a very, small region up until a fairly developed one with even 2 planets in it. Now what we also have here is the Aeolian Pact. We can again do the same thing. They're power-hungry, corrupt overlords of multi-ops industries. So they have their own little facts now. Or their own little story, their own little lore, and you can start with them and start expanding with them as well. So that's quite interesting. So just to give you an idea of what this would look like, let's start with the Corkira here, and let's start out pretty big. There we go. So we could just have a look at how this might influence the game. Hi Space Game Junkie, how are you doing? So awesome of you that you were able to join us. Same goes of course for all the other viewers. Glad you're all here. If you have any questions, please drop me a line. Of course we have some new loading art. Thank you Droggy, that's nice to hear. Alright, so we can choose our captain again, as we're quite familiar with. It's pretty much the same as it has always been, unless obviously you play an alien race, in which case you have some new portraits to play with. Ah, another Mountain Blade fan. Appreciate that. Hey, King of Manners. Alright, so we're gonna hit finish. We can choose our ship. So we start out with a battleship because I moved the slider all the way to the right. We can choose freely. I quite like the Poseidon because it looks, well, pretty neat. And gonna finish that here. So let's have a look then. And I think you don't see a lot other than us having, you know, a pretty darn cool ship. As you can see. You don't see a lot yet until I hit the map. So we can see the map is already populated. We know of some systems and some gates. We already have a number of fleets on our command. So really, if you're more into the strategic part of this game, this is a great starting position to go. Because it will allow you to kickstart, it will allow you to immediately move your armies, organize them, build new fleets, and send them out. And people who are familiar with the game will obviously immediately realize you can move your armies around, set waypoints, etc. So that's one of the awesome things you can do from the get-go in this type of mode, and it's up to you to choose really what to do. So one thing that can be seen here is that there are no enemy factions nearby, so you would have to declare war on them. Obviously we can easily, quite easily declare war on some of these guys. Let's talk politics. I cannot stand idly while you taint Gemini. Prepare for war. So there we have it, and I'm gonna go back to the map again. So I'm gonna send my my different fleets to the front line. Perhaps also do some scouting. We see some enemy fleets right here. We can investigate them. So cruiser, frigates, corvettes, and gunships. They seem pretty capable. And they've also you know, established garrisons. This particular one has a high fleet power, so while border-wise it would be interesting to attack, it's probably a little bit too tough for us. However, over in this region, their fleet is a lot weaker. So that might be something we could potentially be interested in. We might want to build some additional ships, so we have some resources here. Or we could actually build an additional cruiser. So or have some frigates. Let's grab some frigates. There we go. Frigate and a corvette. And we're just gonna go and fly out ourselves, I think. Engaging our sublight engines. Of course, time actually continues on even when we're in the main map mode, so you can play it a little bit like a strategy game. That wasn't very neighborly of all, no. Not really. We are going to war immediately. So can you, via different save files, have story and conquest going concurrently? I don't think so. I mean, you can conquer in the campaign mode. It is very moddable though, but I don't think it's been tested, so I dare not say. But you can most certainly do a lot with the save files. Also, the starting conditions are very moddable as well, so people can set their own custom mods basically for how to start in the system. And we see a little fleet here with a dreadnought even, so that might be something we would need to watch out for. What's over here? Yes, you can have multiple games going if you like. You can have as many save games as you like. So you can be playing Conquest at one moment, and you know, have a story mode going on the other way. And there's a couple of more game modes that I wanted to show you that we'll be covering later. So, but this, I mean, I think you guys are getting the idea here. There are 4 factions to start with, so, and they have start at their own corner of the universe, or at the map system, I should say, to be correct. They have their own challenges, and for each of them, you can set your own starting positions and customize that. So if you're the type of player who really wants to have, you know, all the progression, you start off small and you really start growing. If you're more like a strategy type of player, you might want to start big so you can immediately start moving your fleets around. It's really up to you with this game, and that's what this DLC offers. So combined, you know, taking all the new features and all the new starting positions and all the modifications combined, we are assuming that, or we're counting on at least, 100 hours of additional content for those of you who really want to experience everything, and that's really is a lot. Alright, let's see. How is our ship construction going? So our frigate is almost done. Is this for more experienced players, or can new players jump in right to this? You can jump in if you like. I would advise you to start a little bit smaller, because this might be overwhelming to new players. It doesn't really feature the tutorial though, so for the really new players, we advise them to play the tutorial and to go from there. But if you're not interested in the story and really want to play this type of game for the sandboxy feel of it, yeah, it's very good if you, after playing the tutorial, jump in here and start discovering the game from this end. We found a planet of pirates. But this is what we were after. So we have a fleet with power of 9,000 here, and we have another fleet with power of 9,000. So we're going to engage this garrison, and we have an enemy fleet coming up. Now, I've been spending too much time at the map here. I'm a bit of a strategy player, sorry for that. I can also, do it from here. We're flying out to the location. We can see at the left-hand side a lot of notifications about the Geminipedia being updated, so there's all the information and logs about the different factions, about what's happening, and we're encountering some hostile ships. So let's see what that's about. Some gunships over there. They shouldn't be too tough. Still reasonably far away. We have some allied ships in the area as well, and there we go. Let's see. We have, what type of abilities do we have here? We got the cloak, which is nice. Can be safe a little bit. There we go. And oh shoot! Watch my distribution. Let's try and take down some of these guys. They're corvettes, so they should be reasonably easy to take out. There we go. There's another one. Has a release date been set? We're releasing today with this DLC, Virus Boy. Thank you so much for joining us. We are releasing today. Release is imminent. We're just giving you a little taste of what the game will be like, of the DLC will be like before we launch. You can already check out the product page for a full breakdown. So we got pirates, we got aliens, and we got new units, our new ship line entirely with special technology and with special game rules. So with these 4 starts that I highlighted just before, you have more or less the same game rules as you play with human factions that are established, that have borders, that have diplomacy, but they play very differently due to their starting locations and due to the fact that you can actually, heavily customize their starting locations. However, if there are also 2 additional starting options that also force you to play through different rules, and that's where it gets really interesting. So what we have then is that you can also start as the new alien race, or an alien faction that's in, and there your goal is actually to just exterminate everyone rather than conquer things. And also pirate faction, which is very interesting because then your economy relies solely on capturing, boarding, and selling ships, which makes for a very interesting challenge. So rather than this weekly resource yield you get from having vast territories, you really will be raiding a lot. And we'll be showing you a little bit of that later on. In the meantime, we can see we are already fighting over here, and we're sending in 2 additional fleets as well as our own. So we are on our way. And this is also a very good way to those of you who have already started in the game but perhaps haven't progressed so far with the new starting locations. You can really explore space faster, I suppose, see all the different things. I mean, this is a pretty unique environment right here where we're passing through, and that's also a nice way to explore the system. in a good way. So you can see all four corners of the huge map, and I stressed it in previous streams how big the map is, but the part we're fighting over right here, and we noticed that how long it took us to fly from our main starting position to the front line, and our ship got engaged here. We need to send reinforcements. Now imagine that the map is a hell of a lot bigger. Well, Fires Boy, the Solari Conquered weren't really pirates, considering they didn't. I suppose some would consider you a pirate at some point, but initially, no, they weren't really pirates, but you could play them like that. What we've done now, though, is that we actually added a dedicated pirate faction. Incidentally, also the Outer Lands, you can play a little bit like pirates if you like the role-playing thing. We got an Osaka cruiser here, which is quite potent. I should readjust a little to my defenses, and let's target it and let's start shooting. We have some torpedoes there to fire. There we go. That should do something. We can cloak ourselves, obviously, but that appears to be all we can do for now. Let's try and not get out of range. I want to get that cruiser sorted. There we go. So we're losing reputation while we are killing them. Steam's not giving you a prize yet. No, it hasn't been released just yet, but it will be in the next hours or so, I would guess. It will be released pretty darn soon. Alright, let's continue our trip, because our guys... Oh, we actually managed to capture it already. That's brilliant. I'm going to send more reinforcements north now, though. Because we stand to lose our force there. So this is one of the reasons why I said, you know, for complete beginners, it might not be the best start to start off really big, because you might be a little bit overwhelmed. That's not the feeling we want to give you. But it's definitely a very interesting, if you're a more experienced player, to have this advanced start, and really if you're into the strategic aspect of it. Also for the sake of diplomacy. Now let's see if they want peace now that they kindly gave us their system. And they want peace as well. And they want a lot of resources in exchange. Well, they are willing to pay, actually. That's brilliant. So they're on the losing end. They want to pay to give peace, and we like that. If we had more diplomacy, then we could actually... diplomacy perks, we could ask for more. But we're going to agree with this and just take the resources and expand our fleet further. There we go. So now we stopped fighting. We made peace. We are gonna reorganize our forces. This is a pretty big one, so I'd like to keep it central. We're gonna send one north. There we go. And that's how we did some Conquest, guys. How do you like that? So is Titans compatible? Yes, Titans is compatible with it. I have both activated at this point. It's not required though. You don't need any of the previous DLCs in order to jump into this one. So if the previous DLCs you might have skipped out, or you might have missed them, or you might still have been playing the main game, then you know, then you don't need those other DLCs to jump in here. You can just start playing. Right, so having done that, let's see, how long have we been playing now? We're gonna play a little bit longer before I kick off the new mode. Actually, let's send out some fleets to collect some resources here. And let's see, how was our construction going? I think our ships are... Oh, we got a cruiser still. We are a little bit low on materials. So I can add more corvettes or gunships, but there's not real point. It's more of a sandbox mode. Do you implement other sliders on the game setup? Well, to be honest, other sliders, it's something that can be done, especially for future updates. There are no real concrete plans at this point, though. But it's also the devs at Little Green Man Games left it pretty open, so it's also very moddable to start. So we expect people to start creating their own game starts and their own scenarios and custom scenarios with that. But you know, in the end, yes, it would be very cool to have more opportunities to customize this, or perhaps more starting locations. So having done that, let's leave this for now. I mean, I'm not gonna. To those of you who are completely new to the game, you might be lost a little. I'm sorry for that. I don't have time to showcase some of the new things and also explain all the basics. This is really to showcase the DLC. We got a couple of other videos if you really want to jump into the into the game. You know, check some of the other ones out or some of the great guides on the forums. You're gonna hit and select new game, and we are gonna select Conquest over here. So that's the one we just played, where we could tweak everything for those of you joining later. Also, I want to say, if you missed some of the previous streams, or if you're interested in seeing more of this, it would be great if you let us know. It would also be great if you could follow our channel. You will be notified whenever we're live. That would be a really nice thing to do. Hi Tia Kamir, glad you could join us. So we have here is also like the new challenge scenario. So these are different from Conquest because they have their own challenges and they play according to their own rules. So I mentioned them earlier. We got the Ashari as the alien race, and we have the pirates faction. So the Ashari are quite interesting because they're new to the universe, or to the Starpoint Gemini franchise. As a playable faction, they are new. And yes, Russian localization is on its way, guys. So the aliens are new as a playable. They have a completely new ship line, and that's also very distinct looking, very cool. They cannot do any diplomacy. They have their own weaponry, their own equipment, and their job is to exterminate everything. So they're hostile to everything, they try to kill everything, and you only have one really station type of thing as a mothership. So it's a very unique type of gameplay. Then the pirates have their own rules as well, and I'm going to start a little bit of a game with them. So it's a very challenging scenario. You got additional income from raiding and boarding because, well, you're a pirate. And you need to use boarding really to continue into the game. You cannot claim territory, but you have to assault independent stations. So you cannot become a faction yourself, you stay a pirate. But the more piratey things you do, the more people will hunt you. So let's kick that one off. And this is a very different start than the one we had before. Alright, let's take a bit of a piratey looking male. Does he look like a pirate? He looks a bit like a pirate. Let's keep it with him. Well, it's not Jane, it's John. Obviously. John Blackbeard. There we go. And class, we're a marauder because, well, we're a pirate. So how do you win as the pirates? That's an interesting one. You win as the pirates by taking over, and I'm going to zoom out here. You see these little sparks of light. All these independent stations. And by taking these on, you will win, and they will also give you some perks, but you cannot actually control territory. So this is our safe haven. We can do some research here as well, and we have a pirate fleet to join us. Look at that. So let's see if we can be a pirate. Alright, so there we go. We're setting off. This is our safe haven, more or less. Let's have a look at our pirate ship, actually. So this is what we are outfitted with by default. Obviously, you're going to be changing it. You're going to be upgrading it just as you would in the game itself, as well as your additional equipment. You have your skills and perks to distribute, so you can influence your starting location quite a bit. Yes, exactly, Virus Boy. That's what this DLC is all about, giving you... I mean, the game already had a lot of replayability in a sense that it was a sandbox type of game, but this DLC really adds so much to the starting locations and so many different types of gameplay, and then in addition ways to customize that type of gameplay, that it really is the biggest DLC yet for the Starpoint Gemini franchise. Alright, so we got some ships over here, so let's slow down. Let's try and take them, and let's see if we can actually board something. So once we board something, we got the little thing over here where our ships are trying to go through the different systems, and our AI ships are smart enough that while that's happening, they are not going to kill that particular ship. So we're going to try and see if we can actually capture it and expand our fleet. So we got weapons control now, our boarding party. We can try and pillage it, but we want to advance. We don't want to pillage the ship, we want to capture it completely. There we go. So we have the ship now, attempting to capture the command bridge. There we go. The bridge is pacified and the ship is captured. So now we have it captured, and we can do a couple of things, right? So we can make it ready to serve the fleet. We can put it in our garage for ourselves to change into that ship, or we can sell it for money. Now I want to expand my ship, so I am gonna do that. Yes, you get huge boarding points when playing a pirate to help you kickstart your thing. Let's see, do we have scavenger drones? There we go. Let's see, so... And just to go back to the map real quick to see your starting location. You're starting up very much at the south of the map. You still have a fleet cap. Yes, you still have a fleet cap, but it changes, I think, according to some of the stations. They allow you to increase it, if I recall correctly, to increase your command power. So you still have that, but expanding should increase that size. There we go. So we have collected the derelict salvage, and we can continue our path to see if we can attack that particular station. It should have a fleet power of 50. Ooh, that's a lot. Our fleet is not going to be strong enough for that yet. So we need to become stronger first and send out more ships to our fleet. So we have our new frigate right here. We're going to send that one in, and we're going to try and see if we can hunt for more and do more piratey things. We can see our ships are flying nicely in formation. Always nice to see. And there we have it, another little bit of a fleet. So let's see if we can engage them. And another frigate is being attacked rapidly, so we're going to start boarding and see how quickly just we can do that. Well, our fleet is engaging the rest here. So we get through the Mat Bay, which allows us to restore some of the boarding party, which is always a nice thing, obviously. We're just going to continue on and capture that ship. the weapons control and the command bridge right now. 38 men left, so we lost most of our party actually. So it wasn't that easy, but we can put another frigate to our fleet. What's going on with the drones? Space Game Junkie asks. So, okay, sometimes when a ship gets destroyed, Space Game Junkie, you get loot, right? Sometimes, however, the loot is still stuck into these derelicts. So they're just remaining parts of the ship. Now, what you want for that, obviously, is some scavenger drones, and these drones are made to actually get the loot out of there. You could alternatively destroy the derelict and take the loot then, but that might actually reduce the amount of loot you get. So that's what you're seeing right here. Alright, so let's take them. We have another frigate joining our fleet. Let's see if we can do something nice with this satellite over here. Or is there another? Let's just go here. Yeah, salvage drones are awesome. The same goes for the repair drones, by the way. We have some of them as well to repair ourselves. We have some damage amplifiers. We have some nice abilities as well. We can hack into systems, which is also quite interesting. It will trigger an alarm and it will bring in more troops. Here we go. Let me zoom out a little. And our goal is still to pacify free stations. So that's your overall aim of the game. I have a nice little fleet with Xander, who is my trusted companion. My fleet is really wreaking havoc already. So I might try and take on something stronger. And our ships are going out to do the fighting for me, which is pretty nice of being the head pirate, I suppose. So we have a nice little bit of that. We have some more loot here, actually. I should go there. We have the hack complete, the zone data updated. So now we have additional data on this zone, as you can see right here. So we could attack this forward outpost, for example. We cannot conquer it because we are pirates. It's not so much about conquering, but we... Ooh, what's this fleet here? That's pretty big. But we could raid it. It shouldn't be too difficult. Let's see if we can... Which station is weaker? This station is pretty strong. This station is a lot weaker, so I think we're just going to try and attack that one. See how that fares. And again, we're in a completely different part of the map from the first time, and you also see that in the environments, which are completely different. Which is something that shows that the deaf guys of Little Green Man really put a lot of attention into the environments, and a lot of details are into them. That you can really, just by looking at the skybox, people can see what the... where the player actually is. So here we go, into the big battle. We can see at the top more or less the expected power dynamic. So what we might want to do first is just try and take out these pesky little gunships. And reduce the amount of incoming fire. I'm sorry to anyone who's getting motion sickness from what I'm doing here. But you can see that the game lives up to its name when it comes to big space battles. And that's something you can jump in with this mod much quicker than with some of the other mods, which is also a nice thing. We're being heavily targeted, so I'm not really happy, so I'm going to use my cloaking device, which hopefully, there we go, will take away some force from me, but it seems like we are getting destroyed though. Our fleet is getting destroyed, and I don't think I'll be able to turn this around, so I think this was my suicide run as a pirate. So about building ships, so pirates, they don't build ships. You really need to capture them, you really need to raid them. That's your only way of expanding. And as Tia Kamir is saying, you know, people love playing as pirates, also in the earlier games, and if they weren't, you know, actual pirates, they were role-playing as pirates, which is pretty cool. And this is taking that to the next level. That's what it does. And I'm getting my behind handed to me here, but it is a very fun challenge indeed. It's not something we would recommend to people who are new to the game though. It is pretty difficult to do. So, having said that, I'm gonna just leave this particular game and show you one more mode. So I'm gonna head over to the main menu, and I'm gonna start a new game. So we have the story mode, which is the one you know. We got the Titans Return DLC right here, but you don't need it for this particular DLC. We have the Conquest mode, which is what we showed you guys, with the slider that sets your different starting positions, so that will allow you to either start very small or become very big. And then we have the challenge mode, and the challenge mode, we just played the pirates, but I also want to show you the Ashiri, as they are also completely different, but also to show you guys some of the different ship types from them. So I have a little bit of a cheat save load up for that. Then there's the custom mode, which is also where, you know, if you guys are modding, you might be able to add your own custom games right here. So these are some of the couple ones you started off, like the Humble Beginnings one, or the Trading's in My Blood, Smuggler's Life, etc. So what I'm going to do now is going to load up the alien save. And I cheated a little bit with that, so let's see if it still works. That's a good question, Devakia. I'm not quite sure if they have their own Titan model. I think they do, but Tia Kamir might be able to clarify that. So here we have the aliens, and I'm just gonna show you this particular ship, which is not the biggest one at all. So let's head over to my ship here. We can see the SS Lassie, a frigate, with some nice weapons. And here in the background, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit for you guys to see, and perhaps I should be actually making some speed. This is the mothership of the aliens. This is the mothership. This is the thing that can, well, destroy pretty much everything it sees, and look how big it is. That is a bitch. Yes, good point here, Kamir. That's something that is worth mentioning. You can mod all the scenarios and all the starting locations, not just the custom ones. That's worth mentioning, thank you. So I'm gonna dock right now, and I'm gonna use some of my cash to show you some of the different ships that we got here. But you can see they have their very own unique style to them, and they're very recognizable, and they have a unique gameplay mechanics. So like I said before, you cannot interact with people other than destroying them. There's no diplomacy. By all likelihood, you don't speak the same language anyway. You just want to clear this system of human beings, and that's what you're after, and that's your objective. Yes, the game is fully moddable. We have workshop support in, so people can exchange mods pretty quickly, and we have a it's definitely, you know, modding is a big part of these type of games, and we're aware of that. And Little Green Man has been very good to support modding, even having modding competitions out there. So they're actually putting money where the mouth is. All right, let's have a look. So if we go to the shipyard, we can see some of the different ships they have. So here we have the biggest one in the class, which is a carrier, and we got the dreadnought all the way to the tiny little gunship classes. So what I'm going to do, I think, is buy either a battleship or a cruiser. Which would you guys rather see? I'll have you guys choose between the battleship or the cruiser. The first one to reply here, I will follow. Battleship, there we go. We're going for the battleship. Obviously. Sorry guys, sorry I had to ask. Alright, so we're going to trade in our own ship. And we're going to rearm quickly. I don't really care too much about this at this point. I just want to show you this battleship and how awesome it looks. And you see it's the same style as the smaller ships are, but it's definitely distinct. It has some pretty nice weapons on it. Let's see if we can start killing some things. You also see you start with full knowledge of the system. And you start right over here. Right near the twin stars. And there we go. Also, I should mention, and you might have noticed it, that they don't actually rely on resources. Money is their only resource. I don't have all weapons, that's correct. I skipped it a little bit too fast. Let's have a look which weapons we actually have. We have, yeah, we miss a number here. So we aren't fully upgraded anyway. I'm just gonna go ahead, I think, and intercept something. 3 cruisers, 6 frigates, and a gunship. And this mothership can build additional ships, and so we need money for that. Just money. So we can build an additional battleship, or a cruiser perhaps. Cruiser and a destroyer. And well, let's add a corvette. There we go. So that part is more like the traditional type part, so different from the pirates. And here we can see that we can get those motherships going there to start destroying these planets. Ooh, and there we go into battle with a big system. And like the guys are saying, I forgot to properly equip myself, so this might not be the easiest battle. I might need to run out. Note also that when you play with the aliens, you don't actually have abilities to help you out. So that also changes the gameplay a little bit. Right, we're gonna try and put a lot of effort in our shields. Try to get these frigates out of the way. And even put our shield booster on, and we have nice little star killer mines. They are nice. We got a T-drive if we need to get out of there, and we have some repair drones as well. So we can get the hell out of there pretty darn quickly should we need to. Yeah, they are pretty darn tough. They are strong. But they have their, you know, their objective is not to conquer everything. Their objective is to kill everything. There's no diplomacy for them. They're constantly at war with everyone. And that's what adds to the unique gameplay experience of it. Will the aliens be in other modes as well? That's a good question. Yeah, the mothership cannot be, you cannot fly it, but it's too big, it will be too slow, it wouldn't be that interesting to fly. So like pirate mode, can we have these? Right. Sorry, I'm playing and talking at the same time, which is not a good combination in this game. Could pirates steal an alien ship? That's an interesting one. I had not considered that possibility. They're not in the same game mode, so my guess would be no. I suppose you could mod it. Alright, let's get out of here anyway. We got our jump drive, so we can try and jump somewhere else. We have plenty of jump drives in this particular one, so let's see some old friends. Alright, aliens are in all modes as a minor faction near the Starpoint. That's a good thing to know, so you can find them. We're getting the hell out of there. There we go, that looks better. So we have our own portraits over here, we have our own officers, we're flying very rapidly to see some old friends. So in all of my previous streams I've been playing as Phanera, so it will be nice to visit them in a different capacity. Alright, thank you so much for joining us, Space Game Junkie. It was a pleasure. So guys, I'm going to reiterate again, so this is the DLC that's coming up. You don't need to own any of the previous DLCs to play this. We have 5 different playable factions and new starting options and locations. So in total it should add about 100 hours worth of additional content. The game is going to be out today, in a couple of hours most likely, and it's a great addition to the Starpoint Gemini franchise and a great DLC or update for Warlords. Let's see, we have the wormhole, which is undeveloped. We can go to the arena, see what's over there. And if you guys want to see more streams, if you have any questions or comments, it would be great if you could follow us here on the channel so you'll be notified whenever we are online again. We'll also allow you to have some you know, give us some pointers. That would be really good. Or if you have requests of things you really want to see, all of these things would be really awesome. Thank you for joining us, Papa Kush. Much appreciated. So here we have the Gladiatrix. Nice little gas pocket here. Look at that. And there is no fighting going on at the moment, but we can start killing things. And that's all what this game is all about, right? Giving you the freedom to do the things you want to be doing. Yes, you'll get 100 plus hours just from the challenge modes. You know, being a pirate, being an alien, or just as one of the other factions with the different starting locations. There's quite a lot you can do here. Resistance is gonna be futile indeed. Right, that's one less. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little preview of what there is to offer. Again, it would be, you know, the game's going to be out today in a couple of hours, and it adds about 100 hours worth of content to your game. So new factions, new starting locations, and factions, not just new factions, but also factions like the pirates or the aliens playing by completely different rules. The Ashiri, as the aliens are called. So, that was a brief overview of the DLC. Honestly, I wish I could show you guys a hell of a lot more, but you can imagine that with a DLC that has upwards of 100 hours worth of content, that one short hour is not going to be enough to highlight everything. However, I'd like to thank all you guys for watching. Again, please follow us and please click the banner down below. Starpoint Gemini Warlords should take you to the product page where the DLC will become available. In the meantime, if you have any further questions or comments, the forums would be a great place to go to, as the devs are going to be there, and also of course there's a huge community there that will help you with any questions or comments you might have. It will only take 4 days streaming. Yeah, we might do a marathon stream. How about that? Just 4 days. I think Twitch is actually starting to crack down on those things. However, I like the suggestion. I appreciate it. So thanks again all for watching. I'd like to thanks Tia Kamir for coming over and helping me answer some of your questions. That was much appreciated. Little Green Man Games made the game, made the DLC, and it's going to be out today. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next time. Bye bye.